Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, baby metal fan, and I'm actually talking about baby metal today, which is, makes a change. I haven't done many of these this year for lots of reasons, not least of which were the uh, copyright issues with some of the videos that I was using as source material. So, but I did want to, and I was also struggling, to be honest, to decide which songs to do next off Metal Resistance. I've done a lot of them, and the ones that were uh, next on the list were songs that I didn't feel like I had a lot to say about, including From Dusk Till Dawn and Cis Anger. I just didn't feel like I had much to contribute. So I was kind of paralyzed for a little while and then thought, you know what, skip over that and go straight to No Rain, No Rainbow, which, I have to say is actually one of my favorite baby metal songs. I'm a sucker for these solo power ballads. I really like this song. It's comparatively simple lyrically, but I think it's a beautiful song. What else was I going to say? In the interim, while I haven't been doing baby metal videos, I've been doing a few videos from other bands, but I was also a guest on the Baby Metal podcast, episode number 52, I think. So if you haven't already heard that, check it out. You'll find that on YouTube as well. Okay. No rain, no rainbow. I'm going to stop it right before the music actually starts because I love that image. This is from 2013, right? You forget that this is No Rain, No Rainbow is actually a pretty old song, even though it doesn't appear until the second album in terms of a studio recording. It was a song that they had been playing for quite a while, though not very frequently, and I think you can see why. I love that opening image of Sue waiting to go on, and she looks so young and frankly a little scared, which is weird, right? Because she's a consummate performer and has been for a long time. She would have been what, 16 at this point. So I think there. As I talk about the song, I'm also going to talk about the evolution of the performance and why it took a while for the song to become part of their sort of regular performance routine, and why maybe it didn't appear on the first album. And I think that initially she's not ready for it, you know.
どうして眠れないのどうして夜は終わるのいらない何も明日さえも君がいない未来へ
Okay, so let me clarify. When I say I don't think she's ready for it, I don't mean that there's anything wrong with the performance. I think she's, terrific as ever. Beautiful, clear voice. And the lyrics of this song are pretty straightforward by baby metal standards. Doshite nemurenai no, why can't I sleep? Doshite yoru wa owaru no, why does the night end? Iranai narimo ashita saemo kimi ga inai mirai. So I don't want anything, not even tomorrow, since the future is without you, right? So this is a love song. One of the things I'll talk about today is the way in which I think that this is a little different from the other two Su metal solo love songs that we've talked about before, Akatsuki and Amore. I think the function is a little different, the content is a little different. but it is sort of straightforward and very, very personal and immediate. And to be honest, I think that's the source of the trouble as far as her ability to connect with the song. And again, this is not about the quality of her singing. It's about an emotional connection to the song itself, right? そう、yeah, どうして笑ってたの笑ってたの Why was I smiling? どうして寂しかったのに Why, even though I was feeling lonely, why was I smiling? 誰も知らない本当はただそばにいてほしかった Nobody knows that I really just wanted to be to have you by my side, right? Now, one of the things that you notice in this in this earliest performance is how heavy the guitar is, and I think that that's part of the vocal issue, right? That it's like while the singing is great, it's strong, it's clear, it doesn't have the sort of emotional intensity that we're going to see later on, and I think, frankly, that the band is compensating too much, and so we get that quite heavy lead guitar coming in ways that we don't in subsequent performances. So you'll notice that there's an unusual element to the setup for a relatively early BabyMetal show is the piano, right? We don't see a lot of pianos in BabyMetal concerts. And not just the piano, but the crystal piano, the translucent piano. And I think that tells us something that we probably had already figured out, which is that this song is a direct homage to X Japan, also known just as X, and to the songwriter Yoshiki and percussionist who always played a translucent piano. And this song has a lot of overlaps in terms of arrangement and style with that particular song. I talked about this a little bit before on the AMORE video because I made reference to the Kohaku performance, which I might look at again in this video briefly. So lyrically, we hit, this is the sort of the rousing chorus part. Zetsubo saemo hikari ni naru. Even the despair becomes light. Yamanai amega furitsuzuite mo. Though an endless rain continues to fall. Zetsubo saemo hikari ni naru. Even the despair becomes light. Kanashi amega niji o kakeru yo. Dokomaremo. So a sad rain, kanashi amega, casts a rainbow. It's like a bridge to throw the bridge, to cast it far, far away in some place that I can't see. So even though the sadness, right, somehow generates light, right, and this is sort of literally physically, as in the sense of physics, is true, right, because it's the moisture, the liquid in the air that causes the refraction and creates the rainbow. So the rain is generating this transference of light into color. But it's not here. It's not where I am. It's somewhere else.
二度と会えないけど忘れないでいたいよ夢が続くなら覚めないで
Okay, so before we go into the instrumental, Niroto ai nai kedo, we shall never meet again. We shan't meet a second time. Second time or just forever. I'm not sure. Wasure nai de itai yo, but I don't want to ever forget you. Yume ga tsuzuku nara same nai de. So if the dream goes on, if the dream continues, then I hope I'm never gonna wake up from it. All right, so there's at least the possibility of this somehow continuing, but it continues in her head, right? The assumption is the actual relationship is over, right? And it is a relationship, right? I said before that this is one of the things that this is different from Amore, which is a big sort of expansive song about the nature of love without being an actual love song, right? It's almost evangelical in its celebration of love. And then Akatsuki, which is about persistence, right? And a decision to hold on to something valuable, even in the face of it somehow ending, right? But the overall tone of Akatsuki, and I think that's why she handles it better early in her career, is that the overall tone is ferocity, right? A sort of determination, and she can do that till the cows come home, you know. Particularly, and I'll look at it in a second, in the Red Night, Black Night performance, which is a year later, and which makes a big difference, especially to an adolescent. But here, it still feels like we're singing words, and she's singing them well, but she's not, she's simulating feeling rather than experiencing it. And I think that this is because she hasn't felt it, you know? Yeah. And this is where things get weird in this performance. Okay, let me break it there and just explain what is going on. So in this performance, the previous song was, I think, Onodari Daisaksen, which is a Black BabyMetal song in which Yui and Moa play the sort of little devil characters. And they then become the sort of doll figures where they're inanimate. And then they pop up here, and with a snap of her fingers, Sue doesn't just wake them, she now transforms them back into the sort of little angels, right? Which we get very specifically in the visual. Okay, I mean, I understand the need for a kind of narrative continuity within the show. So we're ending one section, the Black BabyMetal section, and preparing for them to reintegrate into the complete band through this solo performance. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work for this song. And again, I feel like the show doesn't quite have the courage of its conviction. It doesn't quite think that Sue can pull this off by herself. And so in the midst of this sort of song about grief and loss and pain, we get this weird little sideshow which has nothing to do with the song at all, and the twittering wings and the sort of cherubic positioning, the sort of classic angel cherub, faintly Renaissancey kind of image of them gazing up, from the piano, which they are now going to go and sit at and pretend to play. It just feels like they didn't quite know what to do with this song at this stage. So again, I'm not critiquing her vocal performance. I'm just saying that she's not quite mature enough for the song yet. So let's look at some stuff where she's growing into it. And I'll see if I can pick it up at the same point. Red Night, Black Night show, the Black Night show, the second show, from 2014, so a year later. And we're picking up at the same spot. She's just saying, why was I smiling? Why, even though I was feeling lonely? Daremo shiranai hontou wa tada aitai sore dake data. So nobody knows that I really just wanted to see you or to love you. That was all. That's all. Sore dake data. That's all it was. And then back to the chorus, which, of course, is now a little different. Okay, so you can hear the progression already, right? There's a little bit more fire there, a little bit more conviction, a little bit more personal connection, and she's singing the same lines, right, as before. Zetsubo saemo hikari ni naru. Even the despair turns into light or becomes light. Yamanai ame ga furitsuzu itemo. Even though an endless rain continues to fall. Zetsubo mo. So the same. Kanashi ame ga niji o kakeru yo imamo. Sad rain casts a rainbow. Imamo, even now, still, right? But let's back off for a second and then look at how this evolves in a subsequent performance. So let's try this in comparison. This is from the 2018 Legend S concert in Hiroshima, which of course is where Sue was from. See what I mean? Have I lost my mind? I just think she owns the song now in ways that she didn't before. And I think she was conscious of it, and it made her hold back. And I think that, as she has matured, a song like this makes more sense to her, and that makes more sense to me. It's reminiscent of watching, a young Michael Jackson with Jackson 5 singing a song like Who's Loving You, you know, a really sort of blues pained song, and he was like whatever he was, 13 or 14 years old, and it's a great performance, but it feels like uh, the performer is simulating the feeling that he thinks goes with the song, rather than channeling his own personal experience, which of course you know is something he's able to do later on in a song like "She's Out of My Life," something like that, off the Wall album. So yeah, I think that you know this is where she really takes control of the song.
二度と会えないけど忘れないでいたいよ夢が続くなら覚めないで
Yeah, you know, and it's not just that there's more emotion in the voice. The emotion gives it power and range, and there's that sort of the exquisite pain of loss. So she's just said, "Zetsubosai mo so kanashi ame ga niji o kakeru yo imamo." So the sad rain casts a rainbow even now, right? So we're reflecting on um, the pain of loss and separation, but somehow it still casts a positive image. But it's not a positive image of things to come, right? Or how great everything is. It's a positive image about looking back on what you had, right? And I think that's the point. That's what the song is about. The song is about the intensity of experience and emotional risk, right? That you go through negative stuff because in the process, or you risk negative stuff because it's the only way to get the good stuff. You know, you don't get the rainbow without the rain. That's the point. I mean, it's fairly self-evident, but yeah.
やらない雨が心に出すよいつまでも
I see the strings. Yeah. So yeah, so the last line, Yamanai Amega Kokoro Mitasu yo Itsumaremo. So an endless rain fills my heart forever. So it's not the rainbow that fills your heart, it's the rain, right? And this is a good transition, I think, into the song which sets this one up in some ways, which is the X Japan's Endless Rain. In case you haven't heard this song, I wanted to give you a quick blast of it because the X Japan thing is a huge factor, as I've said before, and this song particularly, it seems, No Rain, No Rainbow, is descended directly from this song, Endless Rain, and I wanted to play you a little bit. You're going to see some very, very big hair. It's a little frightening. This is pure 80s hair rock gone off the charts, so brace yourself because it could be a little alarming. That said, this is a beautiful song, a gorgeous, haunting, lyrical, and lilting melody. Beautiful. Yeah. You can see, okay, so this is a sort of classic late 80s Visual K band, the Japanese rock band that, you know, is absolutely sort of inventing this genre for Japanese rock music, and you can see how much BabyMetal gets from it. You know, the drama, the theatricality of the thing. Everything is sort of over the top and excessive, but also sincere and passionate. And then, you know, the formal elements, the piano sound at the beginning, the structure of the song, the dual lead guitars that harmonize with each other quite closely, that central section there. You know, this is all classic BabyMetal, right? This stuff is essential to the BabyMetal sound and the drama of their performances. And at some point, I might say a little bit more about why this works as well as it does in Japanese music in ways that it doesn't tend to work quite so well in Western rock. I was watching a video of Marty Friedman, the former guitarist from Megadeth, and maybe I'll play you a little of that in a second. So I think that the difference between Endless Rain and No Rain, No Rainbow is that Endless Rain is a song about forgetting, and No Rain, No Rainbow is a song about remembering. And that seems to have something to do with the way that the relationship ends, right? That in Endless Rain, it's all about grief, but the rain is also, as a symbol of sadness and tears, it's also a symbol of cleansing, right? That you're being purged of these negative feelings of hate and sadness. Whereas in No Rain, No Rainbow, the rainbow itself, the beautiful thing, the positive thing, is what was somehow generated by all the sadness as well, right? That it comes from the same source. It comes from the relationship, and even though the relationship is over, the rainbow is still there in your mind, kind of thing, as the positive sides, the good things, even though rainbows aren't by definition transient. They don't last. And you're lucky to spot them. I mentioned the Marty Friedman interview, and I thought I'd just play you a little bit of this. This also has the watermark on it to try and sort of stop us from getting tagged for copyright infringement, which might make the words a little hard to see, but you'll get the gist of it, I think.
どんだけ新鮮だかわかる？今のメタルと可愛いを融合するのは今までないじゃん。今本当にベイビーメタルの存在で、メタルで他の可能性が開いてるって感じですね。だから非常にメタラーとして非常にありがたいです。
質問なんですけど。
So, you know, all I mean, I know that Marty Friedman has lived in Japan for quite a long time now, but damn, brother, your Japanese is good. I'm impressed. So he's saying, you know, that BabyMetal are fusing the sort of kawaii culture and so on and dance elements of J-pop with metal, for which he is personally grateful because it's expanding the notion of the genre. And Moa Metal's question coming up here is to basically ask him why he came to Japan, what interested him in Japan. I think his answer is really interesting.
そもそもなんでマーティンさんは日本に来ようと思ったんですか？
ある時僕は J-POP にすごく惚れちゃったんですよ。メロディーが洋楽と違うじゃない。でメリハリも面白いですし、融合の魂が非常に良い。洋楽はそんなに R&B は R&B、メタルはメタル、ダンスミュージックで混ざっちゃダメって感じ。でも僕はいろんな事件をしたいので、日本に来たら絶対なんかもっと冒険的なコラボできると思ってたんですね。だからベイビーメタの成功を見て、ほら混ぜても大丈夫だよ。この中の新しいものを作りましょうって感じです。だからそれは日本の音楽の世界ですね。
It's awesome. And can we just say, you know, the idea of the guitarist for Megadeth hanging out with these three girls, talking in fluent Japanese about how great the music is just worth the price of admission right there. But what he's saying is, that, you know, that the appeal for him of Japanese music was the idea of blending categories, and this is really close to my heart, right? I am myself in many ways a hybrid. A lot of my work is sort of between categories or combining categories, whether it's in my writing or in, scholarship or whatever. And the stuff that appeals to me. I love TV shows and movies and things, as well as music, where they take one particular genre and then they add it to something else and change it, turn it into something a little different, so that it escapes the constraints of the genre. And this is what he's talking about, and it's why he left Megadeth, right? That they were pushing for a more traditional metal sound, and he didn't want that. And he's saying, in America, R&B is R&B, and dance music is dance music, and metal is metal. And through J-pop, he was able to sort of come in without those kind of constraints and expectations and create something new by putting these disparate things together. And that's what BabyMetal do. And that's why it's so fun and exciting, because it's like discovering an entirely new avenue of creativity, right? Which is less controlled by people say, well, you got to do, if you're making metal music, it's got to sound like this, and it's got to look like this. It's got to be performed by people like this. And, the success of a band like BabyMetal says, no, it doesn't. And we confuse it with other things, and we can give it a different kind of energy, and the result is glorious and passionate, And I think this is one of the things that, I grew up listening to a lot of hard rock, as well as punk and various other things, and the thing that I always loved about the hard rock was the sort of virtuosity of the performance, and with that sort of prog rock kind of fantasy stuff, the epic stuff, but it never had a lot of real sort of an emotional punch. You never got that listening to Rush or, Rainbow, Deep Purple, Sabbath. I didn't personally. I could get caught up in the excitement of it and the grandeur of it and the sort of visceral, gut level stirring of it, but an emotional element or a melodic element, not so much, not enough, not for me. And this is why I love this stuff. I'll end with this. Since I've been talking about Endless Rain, I included a tiny bit of this when I was talking about AMORE, just because it was early in the new year, and they had just done this performance at the Kohaku for New Year in Japan on NHK. I didn't include very much of it because when I tried to do a reaction video to this performance, it got immediately shut down. So, I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to show without running into the same problem, but I did want to show you a little bit in case you hadn't seen it before, and I'll just use a couple of moments. But I do think that, Endless Rain is a wonderful song, and what I like about this is that the way they've conceptualized it, they've taken what was a love song and made it into a lament for the pandemic. The sense of disconnection and sorrow that I think a lot of people have been dealing with for like a year now, which is a long time to be separated from people. And that's what he's saying at the beginning of this. And I'll give you a little blast of it. He's talking about how difficult this time has been and how it's hard for everybody, but also for artists. And so to come together and join in together and sing together is a way of connecting and rediscovering that community and love that we have been in some ways deprived of over the last 12 months.
年だったね。みんな大変だったね。苦しんでる人たちのことを思うと心が痛い。アーティストとして、人として、みんなの心の傷が少しでも癒えるように、終わらない愛を尊敬する仲間たちと一緒に奏でようと思います。みんなも一緒に歌ってね。そしてこれからも一緒に頑張ろうね。Endless Rain.
Yeah, so he's talking about pain, right? Of separateness and isolation and the loss of of love and these things that have to be remembered, held on to, right? So because we don't want to forget the good stuff. We want to put all the bad things behind us. Man, it's so great. You know, that Sarah Brightman, she to me feels a bit like the odd one out, but that's okay. um, it, again, beautiful song, but I think with the sort of pandemic framing that he gives it, it has a kind of different sort of urgency, that it's not just personal in terms of being a love song. Um, but I do love the fact that, you know, as I said before, when I was talking about the Amore song, that the line that Sue gets to sing there is also the last line. The final phrase, the Itsumaremo, is the final phrase of No Rain, No Rainbow. So it seems like even here that there's a consciousness of the connection between the two songs. Can we just give some props to Roger Taylor, who can still sing, and who, you know, as I've been saying all the way through this video, who sings with his heart, you know, and it feels real and it feels personal. This is obviously Roger Taylor, the drummer from Queen. And we're about to see Brian May, the guitarist, play in front of his slightly crappy Christmas tree. I just have to say, you know, one of the things I like about the way Brian May plays, it always has that Queen sound. And a lot of that is the chorus pedal that he's using, which gives it that sense that you're listening to two guitars almost, right? So it's actually very close to the way that the original recording was made. And here's Sarah doing her star turn. And that's the opposite, right? She's got a great voice, a lot of stage presence, but there's no emotional connection to the content at all. And that's perhaps because she's singing part of it in Japanese, which she is obviously a little wobbly on. But she's performing and having a good time, but it's not what everybody else is doing. You know, it's not an emotional connection to the subject matter. I'm going to stop it there. But you saw Sue and Moa flash their Kitsune signs discreetly in the background. Okay, that's all I got. You know, and I may well have to cut half of this anyway. So I will leave it at that. As usual, please comment, like, subscribe, share, whatever. And I'm probably going to do an Atarashi Gakko no Leader video next. All right, thank you. Cheers, and I'll see you soon. Bye.